We tell stories that they relate to. We don't finger point. We don't say, Grandpa, you better get your ass off the couch and come in here and work out with me, or you're never going to be able to see your grandbaby. They don't want to hear that. They want to read about a real person whose life you improved and who will never leave you. Why? Because you gave her the power to play with her grandchild.
Jay Croft, what's up?
Rick Mayo, how are you?
You're back, my friend.
I am back. Time number 4.
Is it 4? I know we were talking about this before. I don't know if it's 3 or 4. Is it 4?
Oh, I know.
Is 4?
It is 4.
Man, you might be running close to Rami as the most preferred guest. How about that? Because you're back more than anybody else.
I'm taking him down.
It's not hard to do.
It's not hard to do.
No offense. Hope he listens to this. It's not hard to do. Well, look, you know how this works. Did you bring a dad joke?
Of course I brought a dad joke.
All right, fire away.
Why did the trainer break up with the treadmill?
I don't know.
They just weren't going anywhere.
That's a perfect one. Man, you even in the genre and everything.
Oh, yeah. I don't play.
Yeah. Did you hear about the invisible man that turned down the job?
No.
He just couldn't see himself doing it.
Oh.
So bad. I've had a few ringers lately. That was pretty lame. But you know what's not lame?
What's not lame, Rick?
This new book that I just picked up, by the way, and it's called Selling Longevity, Over 50 Fitness Can Transform Lives and Your Business, written by none other than
me,
Jay Croft, right here beside me. So let's talk about this book.
Let's do.
I mean, you know, this is our customer avatar, and so I'm a firm believer in this crowd for a myriad of reasons. You've done a lot of study on psychographics, and I mean, we're both in that age category, so there's some just recognition of it, living it, you know.
Right.
But let's start with the book in general. Why did you write this book?
Sure. So the book grew out of my business, which is called Prime Fit Content, and I create and sell marketing materials to gyms all across the country that want to reach people in this demographic. It's a growing movement. I'd like to say it's just you and me. And we might be at the forefront of it. Maybe we're the leaders of it. Maybe we're the most awesome people doing it. But
I like that.
Yeah. But others are doing it too. It's really exciting for some profound reasons that have a lot to do with personal health and population and demographics and all kinds of things that motivate me as a storyteller. So out of doing Prime Fit Content for these last few years, I gathered a lot of material and wanted to put it out there in a way that would help people in the industry who are in your position or who have their own individual gyms, not necessarily a growing empire, but maybe just one gym, and they want to stand out in their community as doing something different. So there are kind of 2 groups, I guess, basically that this book is aimed at. And the first one is the gym owners and other fitness and wellness professionals who might not know about this. I eat, sleep, and drink it. I know you do too. It's all I think about. But there are people in the fitness industry who are still chasing those 25-year-old boys who want a $10 membership out of an empty room and a bunch of weights. And they wonder why they're not making any money at it. Well, here's a way that you can make money at it. This is the greatest economic opportunity in fitness today, and it's going to be for years to come. So that was one, is the kind of the group that maybe doesn't really even know this yet. And then the other group is the ones who know it and are open to it, but don't yet know how to pursue and service this demographic. It's a little bit different. It's not like learning to speak Chinese or ancient hieroglyphics, but it requires a slightly different mindset, as you know. And so I wanted to give those folks some guidance, a blueprint on, okay, you get it. You understand that we're talking about more than 100 million people with tons of money and a lot of time and really powerful motivation to become long-term clients that you can build your business around. You can improve their lives, all these wonderful things. But maybe you don't know, how do I reach them? How do I communicate to them? How do I develop key messages that are going to be relevant to them? 25-year-old boys want big biceps. 25-year-old girls want to look hot on the beach. Got it. What does a 65-year-old woman want? How do I talk to her? What does the customer experience look like? These kinds of things. So I wanted to put it all out there for folks.
That's awesome. I mean, you answered both of my questions, because my next question would be, if I read this book, what would you hope that I would learn, right? And you answered that. It's like, listen, this is a guide and some probably real world examples. I unfortunately haven't had a chance to read it because it's been a madhouse around here.
Sure.
But a sort of a guidebook on like, hey, if you want to, like, why is this audience relevant? And I think you and I have tons of statistics on that. I mean, for me as a business owner, certainly building a franchise system that targets this target market, I like the fact that they hold 70% of the nation's disposable income. That's nothing to sneeze at. And when you're selling a premium product like personal training, which is a perfect fit for someone who gets a few chinks in their armor, which we all do physically as we age, whether you're active or not, you're going to have a few things that you need to work around. We can accommodate that with personal training, and they can afford it. So for me, I love that. But I think there's other reasons, right? You have done more, I think, in the advertising to this crowd, the psychographic, right? Like, what do they really need to hear from a message? So you answered my question. Like, that's why you wrote it. You hope people can fully understand why it's a relevant crowd and how to communicate with them. Let's, without giving away all of the secrets of the book, right?
Okay, not all of them.
What is the best way, if you can explain, like, how do you communicate with people over 50 around fitness? Because look, I'm 55 and I don't want to feel old. I don't want to be communicated with like I'm old, right. But I also don't want to go to CrossFit like a 24-year-old because I don't want to walk out of there with a slip disc or something, right? Which is highly probable. Yeah. So let's start there.
Yeah. Okay, let's do. So look, I'm 61. I'm a little older than you. And we're both in this, I think we're kind of examples of people in this demographic who maybe break the stereotype. We're both incredibly handsome, very charming.
Yeah, it's a curse, really, right?
It is. It's hard sometimes.
It is really hard.
Yeah, we're fit, we're active, we're healthy, we know our way around a gym. If we're out of town and we want to go work out, we're going to go to the gym. We're not going to worry that I don't know anyone, they're going to not be nice to me, whatever. We're just going to go and do what we need to do. Most people are not like us, but some are, which leads to my first point about all of this is that there's not a one-size-fits-all. Over 50 means you are this kind of person and this kind of customer. There are people like us who are athletic and confident around a gym. Unfortunately, most people are not.
So if you were marketing, and you would, obviously it would make sense to, you don't want to target the outliers that are already super fit because they're probably already finding a solution. You really want to speak to the masses? Is that what I'm hearing you saying? Or can you do both?
I think you can do both, or whichever one you want. Even within the wide parameter of pursuing people over 50, you can pick and choose what you want. If you want to pursue people who are highly accomplished athletes, go for it. If you want to pursue the many, many, many times more people who are deconditioned and scared to death and don't know what the heck they're doing, that might be a better business model because there are more of them. It's up to you. There's also a great difference between someone who's 50 and someone who's 80. They still have money and they still want to bring it to you and get the benefit of your service. My point is to just appreciate that it's not a monolithic group, that there is great diversity among all these folks. There's great diversity in my family. I have older sisters. There's 64 and 66. One of them is an Ironman triathlete. She plays hockey. She lives in Alaska. She's a beast. She's also a very lovely, feminine woman too. She's just loves to do these really intense, extreme sports. And our older sister doesn't exercise, doesn't participate in sports, and doesn't really respond to the same kinds of things, the excitement and the danger and the fun. But she is responding to the idea that we just lost our mother 2 years ago, and she can see herself in our mother. And she doesn't want to be like that. Mother had a great life, and she was healthy, and she died fairly quickly and all of that. But the point is, in the last year or so, she couldn't get off the couch, like a lot of older people can't do. Because why? Because they've lost their muscle. Because why? Because they don't lift weights. Short story, but that's the nut of it. People our age and older don't see that connection. They don't know. I think younger people probably do. Your kids and their friends probably know that because fitness has been a part of the collective awareness throughout their lifetime. It was not when we were young. So you say, look at that old woman, she can't stand up. People don't automatically think, oh, that's because she doesn't have any muscle. They just think she's old. So,
Facts. Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
So just in my family, we've got that amount of that breadth of diversity, and that's what you're going to find. So, do your research. Think about it. Well, who do you want to serve? You can focus on the whole demographic, or you can slice and dice and pick someone, a more defined avatar. I remember something that you said to me years ago has stuck with me all this time, that in your research, you found that your ideal client was a mover and a shaker.
Yeah, like if you look at the archetype wheel where you name people, mover and a shaker was one of our main characters, which would be, again, that would be someone who could afford personal training, maybe sort of an A player in their age category. As the franchise has developed, obviously we have a much larger footprint all over the U.S. We see a good mix, though, Jay, we really do. So we see a good mix of because people will say, okay, you're entering a crowded fitness market. I'm like, great. I'm happy to do that, because there's probably people that are working out in other brands that it's just not a great fit. Even if they're fit, they might have a knee that bothers them and they're jumping around the room. You're right, in a boot camp style thing. Doesn't feel great. So they don't have anything that suits them better. Or it's the person who doesn't even leave the house to look for a fitness option because they don't see anything that appeals to them. Right. And I think we have a good mix of the two.
You do. I go to a lot of alloys here in Metro Atlanta and see that all the time. A really robust range of people who go to your studios, and it's really interesting to see super fit people who are deconditioned, but they're all there trying to do the same thing. And you provide enough variety so that you can service all of them individually.
Scale it up or down or whatever we need to.
Right. And that's really important, because you don't want to say to someone who's our age or even a little older what you said at the beginning when you asked the question was, I'm not going to join something that says I'm old. Because I'm not old and you're not old, and we'll never be old, because you know who's old? The person who's about 8 years older than I am.
Always. You're 90, you're like, that 100-year-old is old.
That's right. I'm not
solid.
old.
Yeah.
I'm still a young buck. I'm still ready to take on the world. Whether you are or not, you think you are. No one thinks you're a little old man or a little old lady.
Right. So there's a way to market to this group.
Yeah.
And do you think there's a way to capture both audiences? Like, say there's a pretty stark contrast, say, in your sisters, but is there a way to market to an age category where you can capture both of those characters as they represent those different characters?
Yeah, I think you have to, your marketing has to align with your customer experience, which is what I try to do with my newsletters that I write for your studios. Is, luckily you and I have a lot in common in how we view this. We always have. It's like the first time I met you, I said, this guy, we're seeing each other perfectly. And so what I'm writing for you blends perfectly with the experience that you're delivering. And I think every gym out there needs to do that, regardless of whether you're going for slightly older people or whatever market you're going for. That your key messaging needs to be reflected in your customer experience. So if you put out the word that you want to help slightly older people, and yet I walk in there as a slightly older man, and the kid behind the counter doesn't look up at me from his phone because have gray hair or whatever, and the music is ear-splitting hip-hop and heavy metal, and the gym is full of boys in string tops throwing weights around, I ain't coming back. Right? So, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you want to have a gym then your marketing should reflect that, so that those boys know that you want them.
Your point is your marketing should be representative of what's going to happen when they come into the facility. Right. If not, there's a disconnect. And while it might put more eyeballs onto your business, if you had the right sort of, message, I guess, to this audience, when they came to partake in that service, it's going to be a disconnect.
You got to deliver what you're promising. And I think that just being really clear in your mind, I want to tell you one story about a gym owner I connected with about 5 years ago in California. I did some consulting for him. And the first thing he wanted me to do was review his website, because he couldn't understand why he wasn't getting anyone over 50 to come into his gym when it's the only gym in the Tri-County area specifically designed for people over 50. I said, well, let's look at your website. His website was full of hot boys and girls in skin-tight clothing with neon lights behind them, and the content was all about how women can maintain their bodies during and after pregnancy. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you can say I want older people all you want, but when most of your imagery and photographs clearly appeal to younger, hotter people who want the intensity and the six-pack abs and the feel the burn, I don't want that. I just want to be able to move better and feel better and, look better. I want to be able to keep golfing or playing tennis or gardening or whatever it is that I like to do. I want to play with my grandchildren. I want to go on that hike across northern Spain that I've been hearing about all these years. I want to do these things, that I like to do. And when you're 25, you might not need those to come to the gym in order to garden or play tennis. But by the time you're 65, you probably do. So we need to show the people that we're not selling the time in the gym. I don't want to be in your gym. I want to have my life. And by going to the gym, you're going to give me the ability to have my life.
I think it's a really good point. Like if you look at our brand promise, we didn't design that by mistake. It's looking good, which everyone has a goal of at least some kind of weight loss typically, sure. Right? So you have to meet them where they are. Feeling great, so moving better, more energy, all the things. And then lastly, living life to the fullest, because that is what we're trying to do. It's like, to your point, our avatar, they aren't necessarily gym rats. We were talking about, Matt and I talked about, we did a podcast on raising rates, and somehow the conversation came up around doing less exercise and actually this was on our podcast about our exercise prescription of 2 to 3 days a week and no more. Right. Because we'll have some people that might come into our brand and be like, I want to do 5 days a week.
Right.
Well, it's not good for you, right? Scientifically, we don't hate money, but it's just not good scientifically.
Right.
And so there's really no reason to do that. Right. And then we talked about a really good marketing message is you only need, there are brands out there and they're kind of hokey that will say you only need 2 days a week for 20 minutes. So more time in the gym for a person like me sounds great because I enjoy going to the gym. Right. You'll have a few people that do, but the masses that we're going to touch do not. So if you could actually charge more if you had them get in better shape with less of a time commitment because they'd rather do other things. And so to your point, if I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to enjoy it because there's other people there, but it is in some ways a necessary evil. Yeah. But the juice is worth the squeeze, right? So I'm going to go put my time in. But if I can do it in 2-3 days a week as opposed to 5 days a week, all the better.
Absolutely.
Hell, I'll pay more to give more freedom.
That's right.
But because I really want to build my fitness, not for necessarily six-pack abs and bikini season. Great if that's it. Some do. But most are like, hey, I need to live longer and I want a bigger health span, which is not just lifespan, but how long in my life am I healthy? A friend of mine even uses play span.
I like that.
How long in my life can I do the things I enjoy? Yeah. Because once those are up, what is life, right?
Right.
So, yes, to your point, I get it. So let's then move into all right, how do you communicate with these folks? Tactically, what's a good message to get to them and what's a good format to get it to them in?
The key messaging, I think, is basically what we just have said. Live the life that you want to live for as long as possible. There are so many misconceptions and myths about aging out there that we all grew up with, all the stupid TV shows that we ever watched when we were kids about, incontinence or being feeble or whatever at 50. It's absurd. It's not how we live now. It's not how we think now. So we have to break through all of that and connect to people that, hey, we're all living longer than our grandparents' generations did. We have better medicine than they ever did. You're probably gonna be here for a while after your retirement. And in order to really enjoy yourself, you have to have some strength and some ability, agility, and some endurance. And if this is news to you, then let's keep talking about it. And we're going to tell you these things over and over and over again until you begin to connect coming to Alloy and working out and being able to get up in the morning and not just want to stay in bed because my back hurts so bad or whatever. There's a disconnect there among the general population of my generation and older. They don't know this. So we have to tell them. And the way we tell them that is by having these key messages that we illustrate over and over again, consistently in ways big and small. We tell stories that they relate to. We don't finger point. We don't say, Grandpa, you better get your ass off the couch and come in here and work out with me, or you're never going to be able to see your grandbaby. They don't want to hear that. They want to read about a real person whose life you improved and who will never leave you. Why? Because you gave her the power to play with her grandchild, right?
And you're doing this then through essentially storytelling.
Yes. That's primarily it, because now in the newsletters I do for you all, I try to have as many stories as possible that are resonant emotionally, but there's also a good chunk of them that are scientific based. There's so much new research coming out about particularly protecting brain health, cognitive decline, and dementia, that we didn't know about previously. More compelling reasons to come and work out. If we keep giving them the reasons, something might connect, right? But the stories are the ones that really compel me, the individual stories, because I'm a writer. I didn't come to this with a background in fitness. I don't own a gym. I'm not a trainer. I was a newspaper reporter for many years, and the thing that fires me up is to meet someone and hear their story and pull it out of them and get them to open up and share their heart and soul with me, and also some hard numbers and some hard facts, and then put that into the context of bigger stories, how we're all living longer, all these really important stories that are part of our culture now, and then moving you to smile, laugh, chuckle, get off the couch, call Alloy, get off the couch, walk the dog. I don't care. Just get off the damn couch, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if I can do that through a story about a woman finally able to play with her grandchild, or a man who was able to climb Kilimanjaro, or the little thrill of, a grandpa accepting his grandson's invitation to go skiing. He couldn't last year, but this year he can, and they had the best time. This is life. This is so important and so warm-hearted and welcoming. And when you read these stories, you're moved. And when you read these stories from an Alloy studio, you associate those good feelings with that Alloy studio down the street. And at some point it clicks and you go, I want that.
Mm-hmm.
They did it for her. They'll do it for me.
Well, you can see, like, so many of our stories are people just like the person reading it.
Yes.
So it's really important, to your point earlier with the gym that you consulted that had this website with all these different people on it, sending out we'll just call it a success story, right? Or a compelling story featuring someone who looks just like me. If I'm that person on the couch at home, I'm like, hey, wait a minute. A lot of her obstacles sound really familiar. Yeah. Those are also my obstacles. If that lady or man can do it, I can do it.
That's right.
That's key, right?
Oh, it's everything. And, storytelling predates marketing. Storytelling goes back to the caveman. What did they find in the caves? They found stories. Go here to hunt the antelope and not get eaten by the tiger or whatever. I don't know. That's what
sounds like a good plan.
Yeah, it's a good plan. I need to know that information.
Good plan for the day.
I'll
Don't
remember
be
that.
Kill
Don't get eaten. Sure. So all the way through humanity, we are motivated by storytelling, and it's so much more impactful than the American Medical Association says that citizens over 72 will die at 3.6 months earlier if they blah, blah, blah. That's true, and that's important, and that's good to know. But you got to mix it up. You got to come at people from a number of angles. I said a minute ago that I grew up as a newspaper reporter. And you and I are both old enough to remember when we got our media from newspapers.
I'd miss a good newspaper.
Yeah,
cup of coffee, sit on the porch, read the paper. Come on, man. Like,
nothing better.
I didn't do a lot of that because papers went away, at a time, and I wasn't. But man, I would love to do that these days.
Yeah, I would love you to be able to, believe me. But the point is, we were provided information that had the imprimatur of some authority, an institution behind it, saying this is important and you need to know it. And that went to the entire city or town that you lived in. And we don't have that anymore. So we who send messages, not just writers, but gym owners and trainers and everybody has to send messages now. We have to send them in a variety of ways, a variety of messages, a variety of platforms, stories, infographics, photos, scientific studies, all these things, because something has to break through and get through to them So the channels to do that, you asked me about that earlier. The channels that I recommend primarily are you got to have an email newsletter. I think that's probably the number one thing because you control it.
What is the, before I forget, what is the preferred frequency of a newsletter?
Depends on who you ask. I prefer twice a week.
Okay.
Because once a week is not enough. I didn't see it. I forgot. I was on vacation. I was busy at work that day and didn't have time to look at my personal email, whatever. I'm not going to, we can't expect that everyone will see everything we send them. And we can't expect that everyone will read everything that they see or that they'll remember everything that they read. That's why the power of repetition is so important. You will find other people in a similar position that I'm in who will say every day. I think that's probably a bit much. We all have other things we need to do with our lives. So I settle on 2, which feels about right to me. 2 newsletters a week gives us time to tell your audience some big picture stuff about these new studies about Alzheimer's or how do you really need 10,000 steps? Maybe not, whatever it is, right? And combined with the heartwarming stories that we were talking about, combined with the really awesome recipe that's going to save you 500 calories and 20 grams of fat over your favorite version, combined with an inspiring photograph or a piece of poetry or whatever it is, that gives you a robust offering twice a week. So the newsletter is really important. You have that email list. That's yours.
And you've paid for that, by the way.
Like
I never understand not consistently communicating with a list of people who at some point put their hand up and said, I'm interested. And as I have learned, you can put the perfect message in front of the perfect, customer avatar. What you don't know is the timing. Right. It's like, when am I ready? Is it the day I got back from that trip and saw a picture I didn't like? Right. Is it the day I couldn't keep up on the ski trip or I had to turn down my kids or grandkids to go skiing with them because I can't hang anymore? It's hard to say. Yeah. Those triggers are all over the board. So the key is the consistency, right?
Right. So that's the one, I think the most, one of the most important things is your email list. And another is Facebook and Instagram. I don't do a lot I don't chase things on every social media platform. If you want to knock yourself out, I prefer to focus on.
We look at our customer avatar is mainly
we're on Facebook.
Meta. Right.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Exactly. That's why I focus on it mostly. If I were chasing 20-year-olds,
TikTok.
I'd be on TikTok, but I'm not.
It's only like 8% because we've done studies to see is it worth putting anything on the platform of TikTok? It's like 8%. So
yeah, I don't have any desire to be seen as the flashy one or the guy who gets 1 million likes or who has the cutting edge editing tools. I want to get my messages out to the right people.
Right.
And I believe that Meta is the way to do that. Meta, of course, being Facebook and Instagram. And then the other thing is I usually tell folks that they need some sort of website presence. Of course, you guys have the Alloy corporate site. So if people want to know what's this Alloy all about, the story behind Alloy, who created Alloy, where are they based, whatever, they can go and they can find out the core of you. So you need, every gym out there needs some version of that. earlsfitness.com should have some basic information about who's Earl and what's his philosophy and who does he help and some content there that shows me, oh, you want to help 20-year-old boys have big muscles, or you want to help elite athletes, or you want to help older women after menopause, whatever. You need to identify yourself, stake your claim, and a website is a really great way to do that.
Yeah, agreed. Cool. So strong message. Those are the vehicles, right, that you recommend. Consistency and the right message. I mean, again, you have to understand how to speak to the crowd that you're attracting, right? And storytelling is a great way to do it, and someone like you is good at that. So obviously, you work with a lot of Alloy franchisees, right? And you'll send those 2 letters a week, 2 newsletters a week for them on their behalf, which we love. Again, that's nurturing your list in a lot of ways. We talk about the old, you and I talked about it before we started the podcast, the old Gary Vaynerchuk book, Jab, 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 Right Cross, because value, value, value. And then, every now and then you're going to make an ask, like a reactivation, like, hey, still interested in personal training? Haven't seen you in a while. That is going to be wildly more effective if, in fact, you've been providing value.
Right.
All consistently, right? There's a recipe, there's an article, there's a great story that reminds you of you. And again, value, 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 value. And then you can do your ask, and that ask will be much more effective if you provide value.
That's right. It's sort of like, we've all had those air quote friends who you only hear from when they need a favor.
Mm-hmm.
They're not there when they just want to say, hey, how you doing? Let's go hang out. Or I got free tickets to the Braves game. You want to come with me? Or, haven't seen you in a while. Let's catch a cup of coffee. You never hear from them then. You only hear from them when they need you to do something for them. You don't want to be that guy, right? You don't want to be the lech at the bar who walks up to an attractive woman and says, hey, let me make you breakfast, right? It's like, how about hello?
Just so we're clear, that doesn't work.
Well, it hasn't for me, Brig. The countless times.
I have no experience, but I'm just trying to collect some data. That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what I mean.
Duly noted. I'm taking notes.
You got to build a relationship.
Yeah, I'm teasing you.
Yeah.
Well, look, man. Appreciate the book. So once again, you guys, Selling Longevity, Over 50 Fitness Can Transform Lives and Your Business, written by none other than Jay Croft. Jay, where can people find your book?
The book is on Amazon.com, and just look for it there under the Selling Longevity. It's super cheap right now. Probably raise the price in a few weeks, but it just launched a week or so ago, and it made it to the #1 spot on one of the many Amazon bestseller lists. So I was happy about that. And that's it. That's where it is.
Congrats. Well, listen, thanks for writing it. Obviously, we're all in on this age category because they're underserved in the fitness space, and we've got the right tool to service them, right?
Yeah.
Appreciate what you're doing for the brand. If you guys are with Alloy and you want to, again, get that newsletter out a couple days a week, engage with Jay is very reasonable. If you're not with Alloy, I would also, if you're running a gym and you're looking at targeting this crowd, also reach out to Jay. And if people want to do that, where can they find out more about you?
I'm on Facebook, I'm on social, Instagram, and I'm on LinkedIn. And my business is primefitcontent.com. If you're with Alloy, just do primefitcontent.com/Alloy. And I'm pretty easy to find.
All right, man. Well, look, appreciate you. You're fighting a good fight. We're doing the same thing. I feel like we're in the arena together. So
we are.
Appreciate you as always. And thanks for coming on.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right. Cheers.